We'll start inside today, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time. It's over 100 degrees outside. Thermometer says over 115. And that's actually probably not too far off, considering that we are inside the greenhouse. Not a lot of updates inside. I mean, the biggest thing, these Scotch bonnets are starting to ripen. They're a pretty angry looking hot pepper. We'll give a taste test on some of those later this week. I've got to make some salsa. Haven't picked any jalapenos this week, trying to let them get a little bigger and probably have another round of canning next weekend. Chocolate sprinkles, I believe that's about as ripe as they're gonna get. I need to get in and get this Tammy G planted tonight. It's too hot to do a transplant. Like I said, I'm only gonna spend a few minutes inside here. That beefsteak that's been abused or abandoned, I'm just gonna pluck that one out. So these Aurora peppers are doing pretty good. You can see they are different colors. So there's a yellow one, there's a purple one. They're supposed to be all different colors. I'm probably gonna move that one out to where this tomato plant is. This Abe Lincoln needs to get plucked out. These two Crims, they're still producing. Actually, there's a nice couple of tomatoes down there that's going to be BLT bound in a couple of days. Roma tomatoes, slowly picking these down. You notice, hey, it's clean down there. So yesterday I took out this old last year's midnight snack and cleaned that all up, and you saw at the beginning of this video. Or maybe I'll splice it after this. Probably splice it after. You can see all the tomatoes that I got out of this. So I'm going to put the Tammy G in its place. The early dolls are still doing their thing. They're nice looking tomatoes. They don't taste too bad. They're just not very big. So there's a few dozen still hanging out in these plants, and they've pretty much done their all. I mean, they're just trying to do a little bit at the top, but it's just so hot. Kind of going back and forth here. The big beef, even though this was kind of a weird plant, it's got a few tomatoes. We'll see how this one progresses. It's not going to give a lot of fruit, but it's doing its thing. This year's cutting off of last year's midnight snack is it's doing pretty good. The fruit's a lot bigger, double or triple in size of the ones from last year's plant. And they're just starting to turn color now, so you can see they're getting a little reddish, a little orange, and they'll go a pretty dark red. The indigos, about the same thing. Granted, like I said, they're a lot bigger. The Tessa land currant, it's really bushy. There's not a lot going on. It's a zoo behind it. It's just kind of taken on, but you can see these little tiny green pea-sized tomatoes. That's what it does. And then the sun golds are doing their thing. Picked a couple. They taste pretty good, but it's not doing all that well in the heat. We'll see what you can hear or not hear with the AC running, with the mic pointing back towards me. And then I'm going to rotate. It'll probably pick it up a little bit more. Took out the rutabagas. The bugs just hit the leaves really bad. I got a couple small rutabagas you'll see in the video. I'll splice it after this. One of the two new cucumbers didn't survive. The other one's starting to do really well. They'll start hitting its growth spurt in the next week or so. The regular cucumber, not too bad. We'll come back to that. You can see the massive watermelon is just everywhere. This mega weed, that's all the 2 or 3 plants that are in that tote. Just normal updates, radishes, these basils are not doing well. This is starting to hit its stride. That watermelon's grown at least a third since the last video, and that's actually a tomato down there. That's not a watermelon. Like I said, the strawberry plants just burned. I picked a couple of ears of corn. You'll see that in the splice. So I'll probably just pick a couple at a time so they don't get too old. Lots of runners, but the runners are hanging over on the strawberry, so I got to figure out what to do with those. Probably try to curl them back and see if they take root. This big beef I'm going to cut out is just dying off. There's like one tomato. It doesn't really like this little, I mean, it's a 10-gallon canvas pot, but it doesn't like it. Black and red carrots doing fine. Green onions are doing fine. Cilantro, too hot, it's gone to flower. Dill, too hot, going to flower. I'm going to try to trim it down a little bit. Chantenay carrots are doing fine, need to be thinned out. The Japanese radish, thinned out the zucchini. There's, I don't know, 6 or 8 zucchinis around here. I cut out some of the big ones. And there's a pretty good sized one there. There's a monster one growing in the back here. Green beans are doing their thing. Probably have to pick some midweek or next weekend, and that one's starting to give out some beans. Potatoes not doing so well since I healed them up. I probably should have done it sooner than later, but whatever. These orange Rossellini's produced a lot of tomatoes. They're just dying out with the heat. They have plenty of water. Some Tessa land currants not doing real well, and then the other 2 tomato plants, they just didn't root real well, so they didn't handle the heat. And then the bitter melon, I actually need to pick and eat some of these, because the problem is they turn color, then they get mushy, and then they're really no good unless you're going to grab them for seed. But yeah, so bitter melon's doing its thing. This is starting to get lightly soft, so I got to eat these this week. Roma beans didn't do so well with the heat. There's a few beans on there. They're actually not very good. There's a couple Chinese long beans. They're not really doing well in the heat. It's just like the 3rd or 4th one, and then they get soft before they even get done doing their thing. Planted some new snap peas, and there's a bunch of ones that are sprouting, because these I transplanted. I'm trying them direct sow. And then the Keystone peppers, I still haven't got around to trimming those, but they're doing fine. The cucamelon, you can see there's tons of these little things. So this is the other plant that was dying off, so it's come back, doing really well. Then the monster in the middle is the lemon cucumber. Then there's some more cucamelon. See if I can find the one that I saw earlier. Yeah, there we go. They're not going to get much bigger than that. Like I said, it's the size of a small grape, but it looks like a baby watermelon. And then this was the Diva cucumber, the Space Master. I think there's one alive in there. And this is the Diva, which come back to life. And there's another Diva. Then in the greenhouse is there's another Space Master that needs to get transplanted. So really, other than that, I've got to do a little bit of transplanting. And the dwarf apple tree, that one's not bad, and that one's obviously dead. So outside of maybe an update tonight after I do the transplant, that's it for this week. I'm eating corn tonight. Just a quick video snap the night before. I'll do the full video tomorrow. So I had to dig up the rutabagas. The bugs got to the leaves pretty bad. So these are not very big, but they grew. Smallest rutabagas I've ever seen, but we'll see what happens. Carrots, not really a harvest. May not be even been any good. I was letting some of the carrots try to go to seed, and that was what was left. A cucumber, although it's bigger and starting to be a little yellow, it is not soft and squishy, so I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. And then, as we'll see in the greenhouse tomorrow, so all the midnight snacks from last year The plant was basically dead, all brittle, and everything turned a nice red color, and then the purple that's on top. So a boatload of midnight snacks. What am I gonna do with that many tomatoes? Well, I'm gonna try to give some away. A little tough with the Rona going around, so I don't have access to people at work like I did before. And worst case is it gets blended with a whole bunch of other tomatoes to make some salsa. So other than that, this will get spliced in with the other video tomorrow. Well, just real quick, got 2 ears of corn. I picked the 2 biggest ones. So yeah, corn's ready. We'll see what it tastes like, I don't know, in a couple hours when it's dinner time. Alright, end of the day. It's still about a little under 100 degrees. Did a bunch of trimming, cleaned up all the extra leaves, or most of them. I mean, I left them up on the top, so the plant still keeps doing its thing, but once all these tomatoes are done, the plants are going to be done. So got the Tammy G planted, got that all cleaned out, got the cinder block taken out of there, dropped that down, and then got this one tied up and some new lines run. Like I said, did a bunch of trimming. Did a whole boatload of trimming here because there was just all kinds of green and nothing going on. I took out the Abe Lincoln, and this is a clone of the Sun Gold. It's been there for a while. It's a little crispy out there. It'll be fine. It's gonna get give it a couple days to get past the transplant shock, and it should be good to go. The root system is really good in the 4-inch cup that it was in, and it's gonna get that hydroponic solution, and it's just gonna go crazy here in not too long. I mean, it's a pretty tall plant. I mean, it's almost 3 feet because I buried it pretty deep too. And same thing with the Tammy G. I buried it. The bottom of the plant is just above where that exhaust port is. So I buried it about as deep as I could go. Slid this Aurora pepper out. I need to get a couple strings up tomorrow. But like I said, there's a bunch of cool purple peppers, and there's a yellow pepper, and the ones inside there were purple, and then there's some yellow ones hiding on the back side. So variety of colors. How it grows it, don't know. Left this monstrosity basically like it was. It's just so hot, I can only do so much. Got a little I don't want to call it heat stroke or whatever you want to call it, but I got a little sick from being in the heat earlier. So Scotch bonnets are doing their thing. You can see a bunch of them back there through the chocolate sprinkles. Trim this one up too. Everything got a good trimming while I was in here. Express trim. So I still didn't get done with all of it, but so all that green that was back there was like 25 miles of this Tesla land current. So I got in behind. The land current, the bucket's over here. You can see how it's all sticking out here. It was overrunning the Sun Golds. It was completely covering all of this in here. You can still see some of it hanging over because I just quit trimming. It came all the way over here, and then it was all the way back there, and then just covering that. So anyways, I gutted all that out because the reason why this hasn't been producing, because all it's been doing is making leaves. So hopefully it'll start producing now. Little micro trimming here and there, and a little trimming on the Sun Gold. Other than that, no difference in the outside in the dirt, and I'm gonna splice these all together and get this uploaded. So grape tomatoes, anyone?